Welcome back to the deep dive. Usually we kick things off by wading through a mountain of reports, academic studies.
Dense white papers.
Exactly. Dense white papers from think tanks. We love that stuff. But today I want to try something a little risky. We are stripping it all the way down. We are looking at a single source that is deceptively small. It's basically just a business name and a URL.
It is definitely the shortest reading list we've ever given our listeners. But, sometimes you find the most telling signals in the smallest artifacts.
That's it, exactly. So for everyone tuning in, here is the source material for today. It's an entity called Sacramento Mobile EV Charging Solutions, and you can find them online at sacramentomobileevecharging.com.
Right.
That's it. That's the entire text.
And it sounds so minimal, almost like a directory listing. But if you actually parse the words, if you treat that name like an archaeological find, it tells a massive story about where transportation and energy are heading.
And that's our mission today. We aren't just reading a name, we're decoding it. We're going to break down the three key pillars here: Sacramento, mobile, and solutions.
Yeah.
Because contained in just those three words is the answer to, I think, the biggest anxiety hanging over the electric vehicle market right now.
Right. It moves the whole conversation from, is this technology even viable, to how do we actually live with it day to day?
So let's jump right into the deep end with the concept that anchors the whole thing. The middle phrase, mobile EV charging. On the surface, it's obvious. It's a charger that moves. But I want to challenge you a bit. Explain why this is actually a radical shift in the industry.
Well, to really get the shift, you have to look at the last, century of automotive history. The entire model of fueling a car has been destination-based.
You go to the fuel.
You go to the fuel. We built the infrastructure gas stations on specific corners, buried these massive tanks, poured concrete, and said to the driver, it is your job to come to us.
It's the Mountain and Muhammad scenario, basically. The infrastructure is static. The user has to be dynamic.
Precisely. And the early days of EV infrastructure, they just mimicked that. We dug up parking lots, laid heavy copper cables, installed fixed charging posts.
Yeah.
It's the same model. You bring the car to the plug.
Right.
What mobile EV charging does is it inverts the entire logistical equation. It treats energy not as a destination, but as a delivery service.
Okay, but let's play devil's advocate for a second here. Is this actually efficient? I mean, hauling a giant battery around inside a van to charge another battery, it sounds a little circular, doesn't it?
That's the skeptic's view, and it's valid from a pure physics standpoint. You do have losses.
Yeah.
But the market doesn't run on pure physics.
It runs on convenience.
It runs on convenience and necessity. And the rigid model of find a charger is failing a lot of people. Chargers are broken, they're blocked by other cars, or they just aren't where you need them to be. Mobile creates an asset-light layer of infrastructure. You don't need permits to dig up a street. You just buy a van, you load a battery bank or a generator, and you're operational.
So it's agility versus stability.
Exactly. And think about the technical evolution that was required just to even put those words in a business name. 5 or 10 years ago, a mobile charger would have been a massive diesel generator on a flatbed truck.
Oh, yeah.
It would have been loud, dirty, and, completely counterproductive to the whole mission of an EV.
Right. Nobody wants a coal roller charging their Tesla.
Exactly. But now, with improvements in battery density, you can have a surprisingly compact van carrying enough juice to rescue a dozen cars or, top off a whole fleet. So the word mobile here isn't just a service promise, it's a flex. It's a flex about how far battery tech has come.
It also tackles that psychological aspect, right? We talk about range anxiety all the time. It's the boogeyman of the EV world.
It is. And range anxiety is really just a fear of getting stuck. It's the fear of the tow truck.
That's a great point. If my gas car dies, I walk to a station with a jerry can. It's annoying, sure, but I'm back on the road in 20 minutes. If my EV dies.
If your EV dies in the traditional model, you're bricked. You can't carry electricity in a bucket. You need a tow truck to haul you to a charger, which might be miles and miles away.
A huge ordeal.
It turns a 10-minute inconvenience into a 4-hour ordeal.
And that's where an entity like this steps in. By just existing, Sacramento Mobile EV Charging Solutions effectively kills that fear. It says, you don't need a tow, you just need a refill.
It changes the classification of the problem entirely. It downgrades running out of battery from a catastrophe to a simple service call.
And that is huge for adoption.
It's massive. There are so many people on the fence about buying an EV solely because they're terrified of being stranded.
Yeah.
Knowing a service like this exists just acts as an insurance policy.
The safety net.
Yeah.
But I want to pivot now to the geography. The name isn't just mobile EV charging. It starts with Sacramento.
Geography is incredibly important here.
Why specifically? I mean, yeah, it tells us where they operate, but does it signal something broader about the market?
Oh, it does. Sacramento is a perfect case study. California is the epicenter of EV adoption in the U.S., right? That's largely due to regulations, incentives. But even in the capital of the Golden State, for EVs, the fixed infrastructure just can't keep up.
Because building chargers is slow.
It's incredibly slow.
Yeah.
You got permitting, trenching, upgrading transformers. It can take months, sometimes years.
Wow.
Putting a van on the road takes a few weeks. But there's another angle to the Sacramento piece: urban density.
Right. Not everyone has a driveway.
Exactly. This is what people call the garage orphan problem.
Mm.
If you live in a high-density apartment complex in downtown Sacramento, or even a suburb with only street parking, you can't plug in at home.
Yeah.
You are 100% reliant on public charging.
Which turns owning a car into a chore. You
Yeah.
just go sit at a charger for 45 minutes like you're doing your laundry at a laundromat.
It's a huge friction point. So by localizing the service to Sacramento, this business is likely targeting those specific urban gaps. They can come to your office parking lot. They can come to your apartment curb.
Right.
It implies that the solution is tailored to the specific density and layout of that city.
It makes it so much more tangible if the URL were just, globalmobilecharging.com.
Yeah, it would sound fake.
It would sound like vaporware, like a tech pitch from Silicon Valley that never ships. But Sacramento anchors it in reality. It says, we have trucks on the road in this specific area code right now.
It moves it from a concept to a utility. And for you, the listener, even if you aren't in Sacramento, seeing this specific implementation suggests that this model is viable. It's a blueprint for Phoenix, for Austin, for London.
Let's talk about that third component then. We've covered the where and the how. Let's look at the what. The name ends with solutions, plural.
And that plural is doing a lot of heavy lifting there.
I noticed that immediately. They didn't call it Sacramento Mobile Rescue. They don't call it Sacramento EV Fueling. They said solutions. It feels a little like corporate speak, but I have a feeling you're going to tell me it's actually a specific business strategy.
It's absolutely a strategy.
Yeah?
Look, if they just called themselves Rescue, they corner themselves into being AAA for batteries.
Right.
That's a necessary service, sure, but it's a low-frequency business. You hope you don't need rescuing every week.
Yeah, it's hard to build recurring revenue if your business model is just waiting for disaster.
Exactly. Solutions, with an S, implies a whole portfolio of services. It suggests they're looking at the B2B market business to business, not just the stranded consumer on the side of the road.
So what does that look like? What is a solution in this context that isn't just, help, I'm stuck?
Think about commercial fleets. This is the biggest untold story in the transition to electric. You've got delivery companies, plumbers, florists. They are all under pressure to electrify their vans. But if you are a mid-sized business renting a warehouse, you probably can't afford to install 20 fast chargers in your leased parking lot.
And your landlord probably won't let you dig up the pavement anyway.
Correct. So what's the solution? You hire Sacramento Mobile EV Charging Solutions. They come by the depot at night. They top off all 20 vans while they're just sitting there, and they leave. You don't own the infrastructure. You just pay for the service. That is a massive solution that has nothing to do with being stranded on the highway.
That makes total sense. It turns capital expenditure into OPEX, operating expenditure. You're just paying for fuel delivery.
Or think about events. A music festival, a corporate retreat, a temporary construction site. They need power, and they might want to offer charging to attendees.
You can't build a permanent station for a 3-day event.
No, but you can bring in the mobile solution.
So the word solutions effectively creates a menu. It says, we are a Swiss Army knife for energy, rather than just, a gas can.
It also hints at the complexity of the modern grid. I mean, sometimes the solution is actually taking load off the grid during peak hours. If the grid is stressed in Sacramento on a hot day, maybe these mobile units can discharge power back into a building.
Vehicle to grid.
That's getting a bit futuristic, but it all fits under the banner of solutions.
It really reframes the business from being a utility provider to being a problem solver. And the gateway to all of this is that URL, sacramentomobileevcharging.com.
It's the digital dispatch. In the old days, you'd look up a number in the yellow pages. Now, the URL implies a whole platform.
Right.
You're likely logging in, dropping a pin for your location, maybe even scheduling a recurring charge for your fleet. The URL is the interface between the physical need energy and the mobile supply.
It's funny, we started this by saying it's just a name and a website, but when you unpack it, we're really talking about the unbundling of the gas station.
That's a great way to put it, the unbundling of infrastructure.
But let me ask you the hard question. We're hyping up the flexibility here, but is this actually scalable? Can we really have thousands of these vans driving around charging cars? Doesn't that just add more traffic?
That is the critical constraint. And no, it is not a perfect replacement for fixed infrastructure. You cannot service millions of cars this way. The logistics would be a nightmare.
Yeah.
Imagine the traffic congestion if every time someone needed a charge, a van had to drive out to them.
It would be gridlock.
Right.
Yeah.
So we shouldn't view this as the death of the charging station. We should view it as the gap filler. It handles the edge cases. It handles the emergencies, the difficult locations, the temporary needs. It greases the wheels of the transition, but it doesn't replace the highway backbone.
So it's a premium layer. It's the concierge service on top of the public utility.
Exactly.
Okay.
And frankly, it's likely going to cost more. Convenience always carries a premium. Electrons from a plug-in-a-wall are cheap.
Sure.
Electrons delivered by a human driving a specialized truck to your specific location. That's going to cost you.
Which goes right back to the solutions branding. You pay for the solution because the alternative, being stuck or building your own chargers, is way more expensive or even impossible.
Economics always wins. If the cost of the tow truck is $200 and the mobile charge is $150, the mobile charge wins.
Right.
If the cost of digging up your parking lot is $50,000 and the mobile contract is $2,000 a month, the mobile contract wins.
It's fascinating how a simple business listing essentially acts as a mirror for the maturity of the market. I mean, 5 years ago, this business wouldn't exist.
Could exist.
There weren't enough EVs to support it, and the battery tech wasn't there to enable it.
And 5 years from now, it might look different again. Maybe these vans become autonomous. Maybe they're just robots patrolling parking garages at night. But the core concept, that energy is now portable. That's a bell you can't unring.
It really challenges that old mental model we all grew up with, the idea that fuel is a place you go to.
That's the aha moment. For our grandparents, fuel was a destination. For us, and certainly for the next generation, fuel is a service. It's data. It's available wherever you are.
Which brings us all the way back to the source, Sacramento Mobile EV Charging Solutions. It's a mouthful of a name, but it's also a promise.
It's a promise that the infrastructure is finally becoming as flexible as the vehicles themselves.
So let's wrap this up for you, the listener. We've taken this tiny URL and really expanded it into a full picture of the industry. What's the main takeaway you should walk away with?
I think the takeaway is that range anxiety is being solved by the market, not just by engineers building bigger batteries. Businesses are emerging to fill the gaps in the grid. And if you are in Sacramento, or a city like it, the safety net is already there.
And for any fleet managers or business owners listening,
Stop thinking you have to be a construction company to run electric vehicles. Look for the solutions providers. The market is pivoting to bring the power to you.
it's a shift from hardware to software and from concrete to rubber tires.
Well put.
I want to leave you with a final thought, something to chew on. We've talked about how this model fills the gaps now, but if it proves wildly successful, if ordering a charge becomes as normal as ordering a pizza, as we said, does that change city planning?
Go on.
Well, do we stop building gas stations on prime real estate corners? If energy is mobile, does the corner store lose its anchor tenant?
That is a profound question. If the gas pump goes away, the convenience store loses its primary traffic driver. We might see a complete reshaping of commercial real estate because of vans just like these.
Just a little something to think about the next time you drive past a Shell or a BP. Is that land going to be there in 20 years, or will it be a park because the fuel is coming to your driveway instead?
It's a future that is closer than we think.
All that from a URL, sacramentomobileevcharging.com. Check it out if you're in the area or if you just want to see the future of energy delivery. Thanks for diving deep with us today.
Always a pleasure.
We'll see you on the next one. Drive safe and keep that battery charged.